Coming up in this episode, Nolan Wells' mother finally responds to Officer Brandon Tatum as she just wants answers for her son's tragic death. As she sits down on the Don Lemon show and gives Don Lemon a candid interview, and Don Lemon asks her certain questions about the investigation on what's going on. And it seems that she's getting death threats sent her way, through everything that's going on with this tragic death of her son. And a mother has a right to find out what truly happened to her son. And she just wants answers because there's a lot of lies and discrepancies that's going on online. And we've heard a lot of things of what Officer Brandon Tate has to say about this whole tragic story surrounding around Nolan Wells. And it seems that Brandon Tate has conducted his own interview with some of the parties that was involved on 4th of July out on the boat with Nolan Wells. And it's a lot of lies and deception that's going on that people are listening to. It's a lot of narratives that have been put out there. But there's one narrative that's been put out there about Nolan was heavily drinking and he was partaking in some cocaine use. Now, that right there is like a smear campaign. And I told you guys, when something tragically happens to a Black American, they always do a smear campaign after their death. They always start bringing up stuff. He was a heavy alcohol user. He was a drug user. They always try to bring up their criminal past if they had any criminal past. But in this situation, Nolan Wells don't have no criminal history. He don't have a past of alcohol use or substance abuse or anything like that. And there's a narrative out there that Officer Brandon Tatum has put out online where he came out and said people are telling him that Nolan Wells was heavily drinking. He partaked in some cocaine use. And he said there's credible sources, it's 100 to 150% actual factual that that's what Nolan was doing on 4th of July for the tragic death. And we don't know if it was an accidental death. We don't know if it's an accidental drowning, but somebody knows something. Something happened to Nolan Wells. And his mother has a right, the family has a right to get answers with a fully thorough investigation. I don't care if Nolan was drinking. I don't care if he was participating in any drugs. But all those people on that island was probably drinking and doing the same thing. But he's the only one that lost his life. And the family deserves answers. So Nolan Wells' mother finally responds to Officer Brandon Tatum, and she disrespected him and issued a stern warning to everybody else that wants to mention Officer Brandon Tatum's name. And she sat down and she held her composure. So kudos to her. And we're sending our prayers and condolences to the family for her to even take in a moment in this difficult time to even get online to address some things that are coming her way. And, kudos to Don Lemon for asking those questions and for her giving transparency and giving the answers so you'll fully understand what is going on through this investigation of her son, Nolan Wells. But Officer Tatum is the same person that said it was a good thing that blacks went through slavery. The same person that cried over Charlie Kirk and Charlie Kirk's family would not even let him speak at the funeral. The same person that came online and said that he won't even cry for his own son. This is the same person that D.L. Hughley went back and forth with, and D.L. Hughley exposed him. So a lot of people are online saying that Officer Tatum is the biggest grifter and he feels comfortable speaking with the white folks. So he sat down with Warren and he believes everything Warren says. And then he comes out and creates another narrative about all of them taking a polygraph test, which that came out to be false because it wasn't a polygraph test. So that's another lie that has been debunked. And it seems like Officer Tatum is just out here creating his own narratives about this whole investigation. So before we get off into how Nolan Wells' mother responded to Officer Tatum, y'all do me a favor, man. Y'all like, comment, and subscribe on the video. And Don Lemon was asking her questions, and I want you guys to pay close attention toward the end on what she said about Officer Brandon Tatum. And we're going to take a listen to it.
Amen. Now, can we talk about the other stuff? You went there, so I feel like I can go there because I've been bothered by it. We've been reporting on it. It's disgusting. I'm going to start with one thing, and then I'll talk about the harassment of you, especially as a mother and then as a medical professional, and I know you take your profession very seriously when you said, I love everybody. Black, white, red, green, it does not matter. So do not get that wrong. And you've always had really good reviews. But I want to talk about this blaming the victim and smearing the victim. The reports that we've been hearing. No, Nolan was drinking. He was doing this. He was doing that. Why? I guess we know why they're doing it, but I want to know what your assessment is, how you feel about that, because even, let's just say that he was, I'm not saying that he was, let's just saying that whatever he was doing, that doesn't mean that you have to die. And that doesn't mean he was the only one.
Exactly.
What do you think young people do? On my senior trip, I was, out there, right? So I'm just saying, kids have fun. So what does that have to do with anything? That's what I don't understand. What's your assessment on this?
Honestly, I feel like that is a way, which we've seen this before, right? Pattern recognition. We've seen this where things have happened, especially when we talk about the Black community. And, after the death, it's a smear campaign. It's, what can we find out about this person? What can we say? And, that's something, my family and I, especially my husband and I, we definitely do not appreciate. But, we can't fight everyone that wants to have an opinion. But also, too, it's part of society that has been allowed to occur, which is it's gut-wrenching at best. Because if you were in our situation, how would you feel if there were millions of people who are saying, oh, hey, well, he was at an island, he was heavily drunk. And again, even with the drinking, there are so many conflicting stories, only because I have spoken with adults who knew Nolan very well, coaches that were out there. One in particular, I think he told me he saw Nolan somewhere between like 2:45 and 3:30. He was like, Christine, yeah, we talked for a while. We talked about college. We talked about his life, his plans. And he was like, he was perfectly fine. Because I think it had bothered him too, that there was this narrative of, oh, he was sloppy drunk. Like and it started at the very beginning. It was, oh, he was sloppy drunk. And I'm like, but was he though? Or is this a narrative that you guys want to use to kind of have us just accept that it was a drowning?
Right.
Are you prepared for whatever it is? I know that's tough, and that's a yes and no question.
Honestly, it's hard to be prepared in any way with the way we have been thrusted onto the national stage. And just kind of everything. And it's going to take a long time. So even, God willing, when we do get honest, transparent answers,
that's
right?
all she wants.
Even when we get those answers, it's still going to take a moment, not even a moment. It's still going to take a while for us to digest and really accept that. Because again, and this is just me now speaking from a medical standpoint, we're kind of stuck in one of the stages of grief because we don't have answers. And that's the thing people don't understand. Everyone grieves differently. You hit those stages of grief at different times, and sometimes you feel like they might go on at the same time. But right now, we're kind of just stuck. and we can't move forward because we don't have answers.
So when you talk about all the things that have been spread, there is this officer, I hate mentioning his name, a former officer who is a far right wing, who's been doing the interviews and has been saying, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not even going to comment on Brandon Tatum. No.
I respect that. And that's the right answer for everybody, I believe. And I feel like,
totally
because I mentioned him, I'm like, why did I even mention him? Because he doesn't deserve a platform.
No, he does not.
Yeah, you heard what Nolan Wells' mother had to say and how she responded. And one thing I will say, that she pointed out some key things, because we've been covering this story for the last couple of days. We jumped on top of it and got in front of it. And the thing that she stated that stood out is all the lies and all the misinformation that's been put out online. And majority of it, if Officer Brandon Tatum would have fell back, I don't think we'd be at this point of the way people are trying to portray this tragic death. Because he's put out a lot of things by going above and beyond, trying to interview the white people involved in protecting them, because a lot of people smell a cover-up. We don't know if it's actual factuals, but a drowning occurred. That's what they say. Or was there foul play involved? And his mother just wants to get to the bottom line of it. And another thing that she stated, like a lot of people say, why are y'all giving Officer Brandon Tatum all this airtime? And she just stated it at the end of her whole soliloquy, that she said there's a certain person, I'm not even going to give Brandon Tatum no airtime. And this is why I say that this is where the disrespect came in, and it was funny. You notice she didn't say Officer Brandon Tatum. She said Brandon Tatum, because he's no longer an officer. He's a former officer. So she called it correctly. And that is why I said it was disrespectful, because she did the right thing. And this is what a lot of people should be doing. Instead of calling him Officer Brandon Tatum, just call him Brandon Tatum, because he's no longer an officer. Now he's trying to play detective. And see, it's a lot of things that he keeps putting on his social media every day about this Nolan Wells tragedy. And people just keep crucifying him. A lot of people will be in the comment section talking about, oh, he's a stand-up dude and he's for what's right. We beg to differ. Because through it all, for everything that he's saying, all the information that he's gathering, he's talking about somebody DM'd him, but he's not gonna put him on blast because he don't want to get involved in the police investigation. But you already put him on blast because you brought it to social media and you brought it to YouTube's attention. So now people are talking about it because you said that you have actual factuals and it's 100% credible source that 100 to 150% that Nolan Wells was doing cocaine. And this is the lies that his mother is talking about, and I'm glad that she responded. So, Officer Tatum, if you're listening, because that's your handle, you know, Nolan Wells' mother, she issued a stern warning, man, to everybody. Don't give this guy no airtime, because all he's doing is creating his own narrative. So in that whole sit down with Don Lemon, she basically was talking about Brandon Tatum. I know you guys are going to have your different opinions. We all have our opinions, but this is a healthy conversation. And like I said, Nolan Wells' mother deserves answers, and that family deserves answers to find out what truly happened to their son. Y'all get down in that comment section.
I see everyone in the comment section, hashtag salute. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on your post notifications so you will know every time I drop a hot banger. Oh yeah, just in case I forgot, tell a friend to tell a friend. It might not be for you, but it might be for them. And that will wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. Catch you on the next one. Deuces.